morning, my name is Izzy and today I will briefly be discussing the importance of regulation across the supply chain for blue cheese. In this report, I will discuss the characteristics of blue cheese, provide you with an overview of the visual supply chain map, explain the importance of regulation, and discuss the two most significant regulatory influences on the supply chain, which are the Animal Products Act 1999 and the Food Act 2014. And finally, I will conclude with a brief summary of the report. This report will focus on the production line of a Whitestone cheese product. Whitestone Cheese is an artisan cheese-making company established in Oamaru. The business uses milk sourced from two North Otago farms, which are renowned for their limestone soil characteristics. Blue cheese is a distinctive type of cheese which can be made from cows, goats or sheep's milk. It is characterised by the starter culture added to the milk, called Penicillium roqueforti. As the name suggests, the cheese can be characterised by blue veins or spots of mould dispersed throughout the cheese. The cheese looks hard to the touch, although it can often be quite creamy and soft. An intense odour is often associated with the cheese due to the types of bacteria that are encouraged to grow within the cheese. There are 7 main steps within the supply chain for blue cheese. These are pre-production, on-farm practices, refrigerated transportation, processing and manufacturing, exporting, outbound logistics, and finally the product reaches the consumer. Some of the regulations enforced within the supply chain include the Animal Products Act 1999, the Land Transport Act 1998, regulated control schemes, e-certificates and registering as an exporter with MPI, and there's also regulation to do with consumer protection and food safety rules. Regulation underpins food production and trade within New Zealand. Therefore, regulation is implemented for a number of reasons. Although with regards to producing a food product for consumption, it is enforced for consumer protection. Alongside this, it aims to reduce food safety risks and ensure food products are fit for their intended purpose. Not only does regulation protect consumers, it also protects and strengthens this trust between exporting and importing countries, such as New Zealand and Singapore, as it provides the importer with assurance that the products they are receiving are safe, thus encouraging them to continue exporting with the country like New Zealand. Regulations are also established to prevent incidents such as the Fonterra whey protein concentrate incident, which occurred in 2013. This incident highlights the importance of government-enforced regulations, as the possible outcomes have the ability to cause significant damage to the New Zealand dairy export industry, which did occur in this situation, as both China and Russia both temporarily banned Fonterra milk products from entering their countries. Situations like this also pose significant threats to consumers and often require recalls to prevent consumers from getting access to the contaminated products. I have some copies of the article here for anyone who is interested in finding more about this incident. Across the supply chain for blue cheese, the Animal Products Act 1999 requires Whitestone Cheese, Fonterra, Big Chill Distribution and the dairy farmers to follow the rules outlined in the Act, thus highlighting the significance of this specific regulation across the entire supply chain. The Animal Products Act 1999 aims to improve and recapitulate the laws associated with processing animal material into products for use, trade and export. Risk management programs have been established under the Act to identify, control, manage, eliminate or minimise hazards and other risk factors related to the production and processing of animal material or products in order to ensure that the resulting animal product is fit for its intended purpose. This regulation protects all stakeholders within the supply chain operation, as it ensures that the product is fit for the intended purpose, therefore not harming consumers and ensuring trade can continue for Whitestone cheese. Labelling requirements discussed in the Food Act 2014 are of most significance to Whitestone cheese as the processor and manufacturer of blue cheese. Requirements under the Food Act 2014 also correspond with Singapore's food regulation labelling expectations. The Act highlights what must be present on a food label: a full list of ingredients, the name of the product, the net weight, and any allergens highlighted. It is incredibly important that Whitestone cheese adhere to this particular regulation, as non-compliance may cause harm or put the consumer at risk, as the product may cause allergic reactions. This would be classified as a disadvantage to both the consumer and Whitestone cheese, as the consumer may become unwell and Whitestone cheese would likely have to recall the product from Singapore shelves, which would cause significant damage to the company's reputation and profit. Therefore, this regulation has considerable influence on the supply chain for blue cheese, as it has the ability to prevent risks posed to consumers through incorrect labelling, which in turn protects Whitestone cheese as their products will be considered safe. To conclude, it would be important to note that regulation underpins food production and trade within New Zealand. Therefore, without it, New Zealand exporters such as Whitestone cheese would have significant difficulty accessing overseas markets such as Singapore. While only 2 regulations have been discussed today, consideration should be taken to follow all regulations imposed throughout the supply chain for producing and exporting blue cheese to Singapore. Regulation can be considered an advantage for consumers and international government, as it provides protection and assurance, while it is more likely considered a disadvantage for supply chain operators such as Whitestone cheese, Fonterra, dairy farmers and transportation agencies, as it is time-consuming and costly. Although it can also be beneficial for gaining market access and producing an acceptable product for consumption. The regulations discussed highlight the importance of government enforcement, which helps supply chain operators create exceptional New Zealand-produced products